Hey, I just wanted to record this quick video on some of my ideas of why crypto really could go to this $1 million mark that we've heard several people say that this is going to head to. We all know this chart pretty well. We know that all the money in the world is represented here, stock markets, physical money, and so on, all the way down. What I was, and obviously cryptocurrency or Bitcoin specifically is right here. All cryptocurrency was here. Since then, it's kind of in between these two. Um, what I was pondering right now, though, is uh, if the money is going to go into all cryptocurrencies, where it's really going to flow out of is people's bank accounts. And what that is not represented in here very well is how much money do the banks actually have. And if the money is going to go all the way out of these bank accounts into cryptocurrency, what happens then? So I started to think, how much money do the banks actually have? So I found this. This is an actual distribution of wealth in the United States. So over here to the left is represented the poor, and at the bottom here represents how many people basically are in that faction, right? So this whole area 0 to 10, really of this chart, you can see 100% of people of this chart. It's pretty a ton of people over here in this poor section. And then you get to the middle class areas. This could be the in-between poors, maybe just above poverty level. You can see that 40% of the people really are on the left-hand side of this mark, which is incredible. And then we move to the middle class, which everybody feels pretty comfortable in this middle class. We're all the way up to 60% of people. So between 0 and 60% of people, this is represented. This is just a tiny amount of money. And when you're talking about, again, all the money in the world, right? Then we get into the upper class. And this upper class, I mean, you're talking about probably people that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, doctors, all the people that are widely respected. That's right here. And then we move to, let's say, the rich. These people in this little section, and remember, we're talking 70% of the people are all the people we've already discussed. We're talking about another 10% right here, the rich. These are the people that are, millionaires, maybe even a few billionaires in this range. And that 10% is pretty significant, I would say. And then you talk about the top 10%, the very top 10%. And literally, the top 1% is off the chart. And this picture that I took here, actually, it is so far above this chart. This one bar actually goes so far outside of the chart, I would have to have 5 of these charts stacked on each other just to show you how high this goes. So literally in this one bar, you could cover almost all, if you added up every single bar previous to it, it literally could cover all of these. And that's the top 1% of the 1% that this really represents. So I began to think, again, back to this question: where do the banks fit in this? Um, and if cryptocurrency is a thing, if the banks are distributing the money, what happens at that point? So let's quickly flip over to just money flow. So this is a basic economic chart of money flow in a country. So you can see the people here. This is all of us. All of those people, obviously, most likely these 80-90% right here. So the people really they spend their money, they hold all their money in financial institutions. Um, they buy things, it goes into companies. Obviously, they pay tax. The government secures us and provides services, and they also provide services or really regulatory services for companies. So obviously, the government makes a fair amount of money here. Um, then we have financial institutions. They lend people money, but really they're lending this little circle right here is pretty interesting because they're lending people money, and this is really the only service, I guess you could say, that they provide. We save money in institutions, and then they lend that money back out to people, and they make money with your money. So this is a really interesting circle that, when you start to talk about cryptocurrency, actually dissipates slightly. Or maybe even disappears altogether, and it'll be people lending people money. And then, of course, foreign trade, far here, way here on the right. This is really doesn't affect most people. It affects companies, but it really doesn't affect just the everyday population. So the money flow is really here. You buy things, they you use really the financial institution to buy things. And the way that we make money is coming back right here. They pay wages to these people. So this little circle here, if you were to put cryptocurrency anywhere in here, it would be right in this range. And you would be taking out financial institutions. So flipping back to this chart, if you were to see the top wealthiest people, the highest amount, I don't know where banks fit in exactly, but I would imagine it's way in the world up here. And if you were to take that little piece and start to look at it as, if this piece is added right here, this cryptocurrency piece, and this piece started to dissipate, the money would actually land right here. So what does that mean for cryptocurrency? Well, obviously the top wealth would land in our hands, in middle class, upper class, even the poor, if they're investing. Wherever cryptocurrency is wherever the money is being held in cryptocurrency, that's where it would end up. So if you're kind of picking up what I'm putting down here, you can see the likelihood of a cryptocurrency continuing to grow and grow substantially bigger than any even companies, because of the holding. Just because of the holding, the money, your money will grow in cryptocurrency because simply the money is now being held there instead of way the hell out here, in these giant, the wealthy section. And I wouldn't imagine it's in the very end section. Maybe it is. Maybe that's where banks lie in this. But I would imagine banks are going to be in this. And even these two, I told you this one's like 5 times, or I don't know, maybe it was 20 times. I can't remember how many times it was outside of this. But even if it was somewhere 3 or 4 bars down here, in this section, right in this range, that distribution of wealth starts to fall back to the middle class. And where that distribution of wealth starts to fall, it does make the rich less rich, I guess. But essentially, it's just that they're not holding as much money. The money is now held and distributed from right in this range between the people. And that's why I feel cryptocurrency is not only the future, but the likelihood of, maybe, we've heard tons of people saying Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. And I'm just thinking, the Dow Jones took how long to get to 26,000? I mean, it took literally so long, and that's the index of all the largest companies, right? But what we're not factoring in here is that this money flow changes significantly, and there's a new dog in town right in this range, right in the middle here. We don't have to use those. We still use financial institutions to lend money, and but the save money part maybe doesn't happen. So charging for money is something that's always going to be around, because people are always lending and spending more than they have, and so on. But the likelihood of, instead of companies and instead of people, the cryptocurrency landing here and people actually having access to the money, and people and financial institutions not capitalizing off of that money, is a very scary concept to them, probably, but it's a very interesting concept to me. And that's why I feel that Bitcoin, or maybe one of the ones that we haven't heard of, or any of the cryptocurrency world, could absolutely change. And that's why I also feel that this market cap can be absolutely pushed to the sky. And if it is pushed to the sky like that, there's a lot of opportunity for early investors. I know one of our guys, Sean here, was saying we're not even close to the highs the other day, and I've been thinking about that ever since. And I've been thinking about, well, how in the world can it push? If Dow Jones took so long to get to 26,000, how can it push so high? Well, I'm thinking of it like everyone else is thinking of it, as a company or even an index, a company, a group of companies, and it's just not even close to the same thing. It's an in between. Decentralization, and that's why I think Bitcoin can go to the moon.